Hi everybody and welcome to Ushanka Show. My name is Sergei and I live in Michigan, United States. Well, originally I'm from Kiev, Ukraine. I was born while it was still Soviet Union, but for about 20 years I live right in the United States. And actually for about 2 years I'm having a YouTube show called The Other America, Другая America, where I tell people from former Soviet Union, from Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, about life here in the United States. And for a while I was wondering maybe it makes sense to start another show for people here in the United States and other English-speaking countries to tell them more about Russian history, Russian stereotypes, stories about Soviet Union, because my wife was telling me quite often, like, hey, you have such interesting stories, why would you share with other people? So here I am. I'm gonna try to make some videos relates to the different stereotypes and different interesting stories that happened to me while I was living in Soviet Union. So here we go, starting the very first issue of Ushanka Show. So, and here is Ushanka. Well, guess what? What I discovered here in America, so many times when somebody mentions this hat, or if you ask American, hey, how do you call, what do you call this hat? They'll say, well, this is Babushka, right? Well, not right. This is Babushka. It's actually Babushka. Old lady or grandma. This is what we call Babushka. This is not Babushka. This is called Shapka. And actually in this case, because this hat has ears, it's called Shapka Ushanka. And this is what the name for the show, Ushanka Show. So, ushi, it's ears. And this hat is actually designed to keep your ears warm, you see. So, ushi, Ushanka. So this is Shapka Ushanka. And interestingly, this hat has quite a bit of history in Soviet Union. In fact, we had the whole hierarchy existing in Soviet Union about these hats. You could look at the hat that person wearing and you could tell how rich he is or how he's trying to look rich. Remember the famous saying, big hat, no cattle? In Texas, well, it's kind of similar. We had several levels of coolness depending what your Shapka Ushanka is made from. The very first level was hat made of artificial fur, and used to be called jokingly, it's made out of Cheburashka. Cheburashka is a popular cartoon character in Soviet Union. Well, there were not many cartoons, so those that were there were quite popular. And one of the silly characters, the Cheburashka, that's what kids used to love. And also there were jokes, anything artificial would be called, yeah, it's made out of Cheburashka. The second level, that's the one I used to have when I was a kid in Kiev, is the hats made out of rabbit, zayats. And those were warmer, but one of the issues was that it was shedding a lot. And I used to have a hat like that and played with my friends outside playing ice hockey. And of course I hated hats because this way it never keeps your ears warm. So I was wearing them like this, or actually a little bit cooler was to lock it up like this. So this is how I used to wear my hat, made out of rabbit fur. The third level will be a fur hat made out of muskrat, or they call in Russian nutria, and that will be the first level that adults would wear. Will be the hats made out of muskrat. Then we're moving up to the next level, which is real money and really cool Ushanka hats, and that one, the first one, will be made out of norka or mink. The mink will be pretty expensive. I would say you need to probably lay down at least one monthly salary to have a hat like that. But the real deal, the most expensive one, will be made out of sable or sobol. That's, if you see the guy wearing that kind of hat, you assume he has a lot of money, because that will be some real serious cash paid for that type of Ushanka head. And interestingly, also in Soviet Union, there were a group of young criminals that were specializing in stealing fur hats. Because, you know, you snatch one hat and you don't need to work for the whole month at least. So there were people who were, of course you have to be young and fast and long-legged and good sprinter to do this kind of business activity or criminal activity, whatever way you put it. There were shapashniki, it's the guys that were watching for people with expensive hats, males or females, and them snatching them off right their heads and taking them off. And the most famous shapashnik is actually former president of Ukraine, Comrade Yanukovych, who in his young years, when he was in his 20s, that's what he was doing for a living, is stealing fur hats, snatching off the people's heads, and he ended up being caught and spent several years in jail, but later on somehow his files got cleaned up and he was a brand new person and managed to get elected as a president of Ukraine. And unfortunately, there was a huge disaster, it was just corruption beyond imagination, and in the end he ended up being kicked out of the country. So this is my short story, my first video about Soviet Union and Soviet traditions and stereotypes. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, please put the likes down below this video, and also you can subscribe. More videos are coming. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
А все-таки жалко его. Неужели на том и конец?
Конец, конец. Концы будут.